Hey, it's Joy. I've got big feelings about little things, and I want to talk about it. Oh yeah, I'm mad about it. And the fact that everyone else is not up in arms about it is a big part of the problem. Oh, I bawled my eyes out, like I always do. It was the sweetest thing. Oh, it was the cutest thing. It was the funniest thing. Thanks for being here. Let's go. Hello, thank you so much for being here. I am having big feelings about spring. I'm ready. I need it. It's time. It's time. I need spring. And I come from a part of the country where we don't really have a great long one. We have a great one, but it is not long. It feels like we get a few great ones during the winter from Texas. So a couple of our winter days are gorgeous spring days. And they kind of float throughout here and there. And then we'll have a couple of sweet spot weeks where it's just gorgeous. But I need there to be a little bit more consistency. And then it starts getting too hot too quick. But those spring days, that little bubble, I need it, because I think it's so much more than the weather, but it's also everything that weather brings us and everything that weather lets us leave behind. I'm like half a winter girly and then half a really not winter girly. I love a nice cold night. I love a fire. I love a blanket. I love a movie night. I love the holidays, adore Christmas, being winter and drinking a warm drink and celebrate looking at lights and wrapping gifts and decorate, that whole thing. I love it. But the morning winter stuff, the having to trudge through your normal, typical day stuff, the weariness of it. You know, I lived in New York for about a year. I moved in the summer. I was a travel nurse there, and I moved in the summer. It was hotter than I expected. I didn't quite know it got that hot, which I do think is kind of newish, but also they're just not set up for that kind of heat. If you live somewhere in the South and it's hot outside, you're okay because you're going to go into a nice, cool building pretty soon. New York's not quite set up just like that. I mean, there's some preparedness, but not on a mass level like it is in the South. But the fall was gorgeous. It was very different because it happened immediately. Like it went from summer to fall in one day, and then it stayed in fall. Like that's I think one of my issues with the seasons. I live in a place where they are so smudged together. It probably sounds crazy to someone that lives up north that we had a couple of beautiful spring days during the winter. But I mean, to have 4 separate, very individual, very different seasons was a very interesting experience. I loved it. And I was like, oh, I missed my day to wear my tall boots for the first couple of days because I was like, wait, it's already here? Happened so fast. It's real. And people told me I was very worried about being there in the winter. I had all these nightmare stories, and, I had my car there, and all my experience of living in Texas is when there's bad weather, it's really tough driving, and people don't know what they're doing, and people are running off the road. And if you can just stay at home, that would be best. So I was worried about the winter. I knew I wasn't prepared. And then also when I got there, I realized, oh yeah, I'm really ill prepared. What I was wearing as a coat and what everyone else around me was wearing as a coat were 2 very different things. And so now I have different coats just because I know otherwise. I think I had like a jacket. It wasn't a sweatshirt, but I mean, probably kind of should have been. And everyone else is actually wearing a coat, So I didn't know what to expect. And someone told me, you're going to be fine as we get up into the holidays. The holidays are super fun here. It's nice if you love Christmas. It is kind of nice to be cold, and it's nice to have some snow on the ground sometimes. And it's nice to have to bundle up. It's nice to enjoy your hot chocolate. Said you'll be fine as we're going through the holidays and you're seeing all the decorations and stuff. Even after the new year, the decorations will be up for a couple weeks, and you might even be okay through like January. But right at the end of January, and especially as we get into February, those are the really tough months because there's nothing to look forward to. Trudging around, having to wear the boots, having to keep up with a scarf and earmuffs and gloves and the whole thing, and having to do extra laundry and having the whole thing. It just starts to wear on you. Is it like such a big deal to have to put on gloves and have to keep up with them and remember which pocket they were in and get them back out so you can go back outside? Not really. But that plus the ears and the scarf and the bag and the laundry and the snow coming in, and it's now on your floor, so you got to mop more often, and it's just so hard. You're not doing a lot of fun stuff because everyone's cold and just wants to go home. So all the stuff you are doing out in the weather is the boring daily grind stuff. It starts to get really, really old. And I'm not sure if that person saying that manifested it. I don't really think so, but I experienced it exactly that way. And looking back, I think it's just because she's done it so many times. She started to notice a pattern. And she was like, does everybody feel like this? And they all did. And like the second week of February, I was like, I love it here, but I got to go. I got to go. And I loved it. I loved it there. I loved the place I worked. I always have to respect the care that any place gives when I'm nursing, and we gave excellent care. We're very, very good hospital. The people I worked with are excellent, very smart, very fun, really supportive of my time, really kind to me, knowing I was not going to stay there forever, that I was temporary. Gave me such good advice and helped me figure out some New York things that I needed to know. And they went with me to go to the city to watch the Rockettes for my first time. There was like 15 of us. I'm not kidding. I mean, it was so fun. It's hard for me to get 4 girlfriends together. It was so fun. I loved it there. But man, that winter kicked my butt. I was like, I got to go back down to the winter that I know. And what's weird is they are designed for it up there. So it was a very different experience. The first time I was there when it snowed, I was like, okay. I got up real early, got in my car, and I was like, okay. This drive is fine. Everything's fine. It's almost like it rained, not snowed. And I got to work and everyone was there and fine and wasn't really a big to-do. And we all went to work, and like a couple hours in, somebody came because they all knew I had never lived there before. Very supportive. And one came and she said, hey, if there's a blizzard outside, you have to go see it. And I was like, oh, what? Like, to me, a blizzard is an ice cream snack that you get from Dairy Queen on a road trip in West Texas. And if it's not that, it's the weather thing. Like, you need to board up the doors. So I was like, okay. And I walked outside, and it literally was a blizzard. I mean, it wasn't throwing, cars. The wind wasn't that bad, but it was blowing and the snow was blowing everywhere. And I was like, I've got to go live on this because I have never seen anything like this. This is crazy. And it was freezing, but it was so fun. And I felt like a kid on snow day. I was like, no wonder kids like love it when it snows. This is amazing. And so I'm like having a good time, loving life. It's getting all over my glasses and everything. And I notice while I'm out there, there is a little tiny, very small, like a personal size snow bobcat thing out there that the hospital had, and had someone driving around clearing off the snow out of the parking lot. And that was the moment when I realized everything just became crystal clear to me. It's like, this place is made for this because this is what they deal with. So, yeah, it's not crazy to think that the roads would be treated. And maybe even if they need to be treated, because it's not an ice storm like we see in Texas. It's snow. And so you can just like scoop it up and get it out of the way and drive on it like it's rain. And I'm going to be fine getting out of this parking lot because Joe over here has been driving the little bobcat around, keeping the snow off. It hasn't even piled up. He's in preventative mode right now. He's just going to scooch it along, let it melt in the street, and move on. They're prepared for this. Every single one of them have a coat that is ready for this type of thing. They know. They got great heaters. They may struggle on the air conditioning front, but this place is going to get warm. So it all started to make sense to me, like, okay, I'm not used to this because this is not what I've been through. I'm not good at preparing for this because this is not what I've been through. They're great at it because this is what they do. We're great at heat. I remember a couple of years ago, somebody had a massive heat wave, and I mean, as is natural to do, we were kind of goofing on it, but it's like, honestly, can you imagine having to deal with the kind of heat that we're used to when you've never, ever experienced it before? You literally have to think like, has hell come up and onto the earth? What is happening right now? And as much as I don't like being cold, I get so grumpy when I'm hot. I'm so mean because I'm just irritated about everything. And can you imagine not having experienced that before, and now you're in it and you don't even have a good air conditioner, or you don't have a ceiling fan, or you don't know any tricks like putting wetting a cold rag and putting it in the refrigerator? I mean, there's so many things that I think would be shocking to go through the first time, but I think a really bad heat wave, no thank you. I'm at least glad I'm familiar with it. But having said that, I'm ready for the spring. You know, I'm ready for that nice, easy weather, easy to be outside for a long time, easy to go for a great walk, easy to sit out on the porch or on the patio, have some cocktails with your girlfriends. I'm very ready for that. I'm ready for my skin to see the sun a little bit, just a little, not much, just a little kiss of sunshine, just for me to get some vitamin D in a way other than cramming a bunch of pills in my mouth, you know? I'm just ready. And I know it means that I have to do a little bit more upkeep. I can't let my pedicures go on and on and on and on like I like to do in the winter. There's some good things about winter. Obviously, don't have to shave my legs as much. You know, there's some nice things. You take advantage of them when you have them. But if the trade-off is I get spring and I get to maybe like wear a cute flowy top or a cute flowy dress and just act like I don't have anything to do but to meet my girlfriends for lunch. Doesn't that sound good? I so need that.
Thanks for listening to Little Things, Big Feelings with Joy Delaney. I'm James, the producer, editor, director, and executive producer. Follow Joy on socials at Joy Delaney Cox on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Honestly, forget TikTok. I don't even know how to use it
You
anyway.
don't know how to use it anyway.
James?
Follow Joy on socials at Joy Delaney Cox on Instagram and Facebook. See you next week.